Welcome to a very special episode of The Crafty Cupboard. My name's Leanne, and today we celebrate 100 episodes here on YouTube. The sense of community we've created together through chatting in the comments is something truly special. I love reading about your creative endeavours and seeing how you've been inspired by the projects we share here. It's incredible how YouTube has become such a rich source of inspiration. I'd like to take a moment to celebrate other YouTubers who I enjoy watching, and for this reason my subscriptions are set to public so you can all see who I like to watch as well. So this is a big shout out to all of these creatives who create such wonderful videos that motivate and inspire me. Now, if you see anyone missing from this subscription list that you think I would like, I would really love for you to leave me a little shout out to that person in the comments so that I can go and check out their channel too. Thanks to my subscribers who gave suggestions of how I could celebrate the 100th episode. Great idea, Joanne. Let's take a look at what are the most popular videos so far. My native flowers on down the garden path. Wow, this was just such a creative, mind-blowing journey for me. And I can't thank the Roxy sisters enough for how they inspired. Inktense and stitching. It's just me playing with my Inktense pencils, and I really love how that abstract piece turned out. More down the garden path, and this time it's the garden gate that seemed to cop a lot of interest. I had a lot of fun in episode 18 creating all those different little flowers and showed how to do little crocheted flowers as well. Episode 7, I painted a little hydrangea and embroidered it and turned it into a stitch as you go hexagon. More down the garden path, and I remember I created my passion fruit vine that I had growing along the fence in the back of the veggie garden. I love that it was immortalised because we had to let it go when it started to take over every part of the garden. More cute little quilt as you go hexagons. I love making these things. This episode I show how I organise my pieces so I can just do quilt as you go hexies whenever I want, and I did a pretty pansy for botanicals on it. I have no idea why this episode was so popular, so if you can work it out, let me know in the comments. My early days of slow stitching. It's so cute seeing this again and seeing the tiny little box that I used to work out of, and now it's exploded into this cupboard. My goodness me, I've had so much fun creating all of these things. Some of the highlights for me were the garden visitor prompt. I really wanted to stitch a bird and I wasn't sure if I could, and I just gave it a go even though I was scared, and I was so pleased with the results of the rainbow lorikeet. Really loved it. I love the Roxy Sisters Journal of Stitchery and how it challenges us to try new things. I loved how I got the giggles in the one with the pond when it didn't quite go as it should have. Certainly a highlight for me was the treasure hunt challenge. I just felt that it really pushed me creatively, and I loved what I created. It still intrigues me that, some of the earlier videos have so many views, and then others that I think are worthy of more views didn't get them. Who knows how it works? But I do know for a fact that I've had a really great time being creative and sharing it with you. So to celebrate our 100th episode together, let's stitch a cupcake. And thank you so much to Tony for the suggestion. What a great idea. Just a fun way to mark this milestone and say thank you all for your support. And I hope you enjoy this little treat as much as I enjoy making it. The link for my template is in the notes below, so you can click on more in the description box and see a link to my Dropbox where you can download a paper template. Or of course, you could just draw your own if you feel up to that. Cut out the cupcake top and base from 2 fabrics and pin in place on your backing fabric. I'm going to use a little bit of sew-line glue, which washes out, just to help me tack the pieces down where I want them to go. You can see here the base of the cupcake extends higher than the drawing, so that it will definitely sit behind the cupcake top and there won't be any gaps. Ready to stitch. I'm going to chain stitch the top of the cupcake on and put a little running stitch inside that border to embellish the cupcake icing, and use blanket stitch around the edge of the cupcake base. As I stitch, thank you, Juicy, for your suggestion. I will talk to you about my sewing journey. My own sewing journey, I'm a little bit hazy as to its actual set origins, because it's just been something that's been part of growing up over time. I have some distinct memories of receiving a red sewing basket from Santa when I was 7. I remember stitching a sampler, like an embroidery stitch sampler, in primary school with our craft teacher, Mrs. McCullery. I remember stitching clothes for my Barbie dolls with little scraps of fabric. So all of that was, when I was a primary school age child. Through high school, I really was quite keen to study textiles, but I was aware of the fact that my family wouldn't have the money to buy patterns and material as needed, so I didn't study textiles at school. I received a sewing machine for my 21st birthday, and I sewed all my clothes as a young woman until I had children, and at that point in time, the sewing of the clothes stopped. I really rekindled my passion for sewing during the lockdowns of COVID. In fact, I'd gotten to a point where I thought maybe I should get rid of all my craft items, that they'd move from one house to another, and I hadn't used them. And then the lockdowns came, and I was very, very grateful for all of those supplies to keep me busy and amused. I've always been fascinated with learning as much as I can about all different crafts, and so I've tried my hand at lots of things, a real jack of all trades, master of none. I just find it fascinating to learn more and more and as much as I can. Had a business sewing with a friend. She painted and I did sewing. So we had market stalls together. So she would do all beautiful painted items, and I did kits and patterns as well as finished products. So little painted and embroidered and appliqued cushion covers, mini quilts, bears. And then from there we evolved into doing party plan. And from party plan, I evolved into specialising just in bears and bear making and teaching bear making at community colleges and eventually in a little shop, which I wound that business up when I had my second child. So yeah, throughout my journey, sewing has always been there. I used to do cross stitch as well in the 80s. That was a very popular thing in the 80s, wasn't it? I nowadays prefer embroidery much more, the creativity of it and the surprise of where the stitches are going to go. And I have to say that actually coming on YouTube and sharing my creativity has helped it blossom immensely. I feel like my skills and the things that I want to try have just increased so much since I've been creating videos. So if you want to give it a try and you're not sure you should, why not? Give it a go. Thank you for a lovely suggestion, Tracy Lee. I'm going to turn these cupcakes into pockets on a drawstring bag, ready to house sewing projects. If you're interested in winning the drawstring bag, stick around till later on. I'll share the details of how to enter. I'm making the lining piece 2.5 inches longer than the outer piece so that you'll have a nice folded contrast edge over the top. Stitch the cupcake pockets to the outer along the bottom edge. Sew a straight line between the cupcakes from the bottom to the top of the pocket. Place the right sides together and sew the seam, being sure to leave a gap for turning. I'm using iron-on pellon to reinforce the base, but you could also use wool blanketing or felt or any other firm fabric that you have to give it a bit of stability. We now have a circular tube. Sew a circle to the top and the bottom of the tube, right sides together. Place your hand in the opening and turn the bag in the right way. Press the top of the bag firmly. Next, it's time to sew the channels for the drawstring to go through. I'm sewing along the sewn edge of the trim and then a short distance below that again. Unpick the seam between the two sewn lines for the drawstring to go through. I'd like 2 cords, so I'm also using my awl to make a large hole for the drawstring to come out on the other side. Feed the cord through the channel and tie a knot at the other end. Do you remember in my last video how I covered the cord ends? Let's do that again, but stick with the cupcake theme. I'm cutting 2 of the entire shape out of this creamy coloured felt, and then I will cut 1 cupcake top in pink felt icing. Use backstitch to embroider the lines of the patty cake paper. Running stitch the pink icing to the base of your cake. What's a cupcake without sprinkles, right? Use tiny little beads to add a lovely colourful sprinkle to your cupcake. Running stitch the cupcake paper to the back felt. I'm going to tie the knot inside so that we won't see it. Now running stitch the top of the cake to the back felt, but stopping halfway to place in the knot cord end. A sweet little heart button adds the cherry on top. I can't express how grateful I am for each and every one of you who has watched, liked, subscribed, and left such lovely and encouraging comments. Your support means the world to me. And to show my gratitude, I am letting 1 lucky subscriber win this drawstring bag. If you'd like to enter, just type the words "cake please" in the comments below. I will announce the winner in a video on July 20 at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If anyone tells you in the comments that you've won something, please ignore them, because I will always announce winners in my videos, so you're sure it's from me. Thank you again for being part of this wonderful journey. Your support, creativity and kindness, it has all just made this channel a joy to create. Here's to many more episodes and countless more stitches together. Until next time, keep stitching with joy and love and finding calm and beauty in every creation. Happy sewing!